Welcome with your team. I know the team very well, but I won't name you all. And then I would like to introduce Honorable Whoop of the Committee of Police, Honorable Siabe. Could you just stand so that people can see you? Honorable Morekwa, ANC. Honorable Moss, ANC. Igamala Makosikas. Honorable Peacock, ANC. Honorable Shembeni, EFF, Honorable Sheikh Imam, NFP. We want to hear your voices, you could greet people.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Honorable Whitfield, the leader of the opposition for the committee. Honorable Terblanche, she's a former general from the police. And our prayer warrior, Honorable Meshu, Reverend Meshu, ACDP. That takes care of the introductions of the Portfolio Committee of Police. The chairperson, thank you very much for allowing me to introduce the members. Just as a short word of opening remarks, Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Provincial Commissioner, and National Assembly Chairperson, we started Women's Month on the 1st of August. Every day should be Women's Day in our country. We started Women's Day with a horrible, and Women's Month, with the horrible news of the heinous crime of rape. But this is not a once-off incident or a rare incident. This is the reality faced by our women in our country on a daily basis. The Portfolio Committee of Police will leave no stone unturned to work with the Minister, the Deputy Minister, the National Commissioner and his team to get to the root cause of what our President Ramaphosa called a second pandemic. If we call the scourge of rape a second pandemic, we have to give it the same attention that we have given the COVID-19 virus. We have forged partnerships with the Portfolio Committee of Minerals and Energy to ensure that we look at illegal mining and we look at how, with the Department of Home Affairs, we can address the challenges we face in this illegal sector. We are not homophobic, but we are against the presence of all illegal immigrants in our country. SAPS has done tremendous work. General Mawela and your team, it's not a pleasure, but we want to say a word of congratulations and thanks that 7 culprits were brought to court yesterday. A further 7 culprits will be brought to court today, and 3 will be brought to court the following day. As women of this country and the Portfolio Committee, and I speak for both Portfolio Committees, we're saying it's not a woman's problem alone. It's a collective problem. Men have to assist in the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. All men in our country. Department of Justice, as these culprits go to court, as women of our country and Portfolio Committee of Police, we are calling for a no bail and a no bail and a no bail procedure. And then we call on the harshest sentence for rapists. We congratulate the judges who have given rapists a life sentence. And this is what we'd like to see in the future. Honorable members, with those words, we are going to be listening to the chair of the Portfolio Committee of Minerals and Energy, and he will introduce our private sector partners. Thank you for the partnership with Home Affairs, SAPS, and Minerals and Energy. Those are the welcoming words. I hand over to my co-chair. Thank you, Honourable Whip of both whips of the committee and honourable members of the committee. We'll try and be businesslike. We want to hear your inputs and we want to forge a collective program ahead. Thank you very much. Baie dankie, Kela Boek.
Thank you very much, Chair. With those words, which are appealing to us. My only problem is that we are joint committees, but we seem to be sitting like different committees invited in one room. I hope when we come back at whatever time, members will be sitting as members of the committee, not as members of separate committees. I can see police is at the back. In front is mineral resources and energy. Now I understand the reason. Your bags are covered. Okay, we will try and be as efficient as possible, but at the same time we will try and manage time. Very quickly, let me introduce. In our committee, we are different. So you will know by face. We've got Honorable Zungula. We have Honorable Mahlaule. I thought the aircon was switched off. Let's assume it's the venue that is cold now. Maybe instead of switching it off, you must give us a bit of a heater. We will work on it. We've got, but when it's cold, it keeps you up. We've got Honorable Malinga. We've got Honorable Chapter. We have got Honorable Madogwe. We have Honorable Bilankulu. And we have got Honorable Kula. We have got Honorable Lorima. That is the delegation of the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy. I'm Mr. All of them, they are honorable. I'm Mr. Luzipo, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy. Thank you, Mamuzigalala, for welcoming us. We will do a very quick exercise. From that committee of mine, if I commit crime, Chair, you'll bear with me. I always say, Honorable DM, the problem, you can leave everything. Just be careful when you have got parliamentarians in a building. So you need a safety briefing because we don't have parliament today. We don't know what happened to it. So we must see fire exits when they are members of parliament. You are no longer guaranteed that you are safe. Can I ask, where is Usisilo? Where safety briefing? If she's not here, she's not here. Okay. No, so ibambe endleleni. Honorable members and Honorable Deputy Minister and your team, you are the only executive here. So it means everyone who's here as an official of government accounts to you. So when they can't give us answers, don't tell me you don't know anything about minerals and energy. Today, you will even be answering on behalf of the minister and the deputy minister. of mineral resources and energy. Can we get your safety briefings as well?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Honorable Deputy Minister, honorable guests of Mintech, visitors, colleagues. I'm the head of safety and health at Mintech. Your safety and comfort is important to us. We have made all necessary safety and health controls in place to ensure that you're safe. We have an internal equipped emergency team that will assist in case of an emergency. And if the emergency needs to be escalated, there is an external emergency team that will help to respond and assist us. We are not anticipating any emergency, but if there is, there are sirens in here that will go off. And there are emergency exits 3 in this room. There's one there, take the nearest exit. There's one on my left and 2 in front and another one on the right. When you take these, when you hear the siren, please stand up, take your vegetables and walk towards those emergency points that I have shown you. Do not run. And when you come out, there are 2 points on this. If you take this exit, you go around and go onto the grass. There's a big sign that shows emergency assembly point. And if you go in front or to the right, where you came in past the cars, there's another emergency assembly point, and there you will get instructions. The room is environmentally controlled. I heard somebody say they are cold. I hope you will be warm. As I said, your comfort is our priority. There are restrooms in the front as you came into this room, and also on the first floor, there's an escalator. You can go into the first floor, and there are other restrooms there. We also have a clinic and trained first aiders on the site in case you need assistance. Your hosts will be available to assist. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
At some point I will sit down. Honorable members and everyone, you are here today. I think my colleague, the chairperson of police, has given some background. Safe to say, in addition to what he was saying, which has necessitated this type of action, was that amongst other factors in relation to the incident of the 1st of August, where 8 women reportedly were gang raped. It was on a mine which is predominantly affected by the phenomenon of illegal mining. And let me add my voice to what my co-chair has raised, that it is a deplorable act and it can't be go unattended. And we hope the law will take its course and resolve very quickly. It's quite a traumatic experience that as a country was Aibu, what happened? Eh? When I see something green, it says it's operational. So let me then, without any further delays, say that we are here for a start. And when you start something, you will always falter here and there. So where there would have been certain things that did not go well, just bear with us that it was an emergency arrangement Number one. Number two, we are starting something that we felt it was necessary to do, to act as a joint committee who had anticipated or would have loved, but because of the manner in which we're doing things in a rush, to have had also our colleagues from the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, so that from now going forward, and I hope that will be the case, we can be able to work as these three committees to deal with the issue of illegal mining. We thought, and I shared with the chair, that if we were to talk about illegal mining, it will require almost a day and two. We want to restrict ourselves to the violent and criminal side of illegal mining. And therefore we thought it would be necessary for honorable members from both sides to have an understanding of what phenomenon are we talking about, especially on the criminal and violent side on illegal mining. And therefore we have asked Harmony, together with Sibanye Stillwater, to just give us a snapshot, so that when the departments are making the submissions, at least honorable members will have an understanding of the phenomenon that we are talking about. Can I ask now Mr. Mashiko and your team to please lead us with your presentation.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity that you are granting to us as Harmony Gold to come and address yourself and the honorable members on the issue of illegal mining. I bring the greetings from my chairman, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, to yourself, Deputy Minister, to the honorable members of the portfolio committees for mineral resources and the police, the security cluster, the DG and the DDGs that are accompanying him, chairperson of Mintech, and the colleagues in the industries. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Chair, we have distributed the presentation. As a result, I wouldn't be going into some of the issues in detail, but we'll just try and paint a picture. As we begin our presentation, Chair, we have what we call the Harbour Statement, which is basically covering us in terms of what we are going to be presenting here today. With me here, Chair, I'm accompanied by, it's just not the portfolio committee that have their backs covered by the police committee. I have Thais de Beer, who is the head of protective services in Harmony, so he's covering my back as well. Where we are operating, Chair, as Harmony Gold, we are operating in South Africa. The biggest footprint for Harmony Gold is in South Africa. We do, however, have an existence in Papua New Guinea, which is in the northeast of Australia. The bar at the bottom there is basically giving you the portfolio in terms of our portfolio. whereby you would see that 74% of our portfolio is gold, and 25% is copper, and around 1% is silver. If one were to look at the history for Harmony, it's a 72 years of history, whereby Harmony was established in August 1950, and we're still standing up till today. If one were to look at that track, you would see that we're listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange in 1951, and then 1954 produced the first gold, and we moved on in terms of acquisitions and the growth of Harmony. The blue side is whereby it's between 1996 to 2001. Chair, it is very important for one to understand that blue side of this picture, because when we talk about illegal mining in Harmony, that's where the most of activities were sitting in those mines that are there. You would see that at the bottom side, you're having mines like Evander and Massimo, acquired in 1998, Cal Gold 1999. Cal Gold is still in operation. Randfontein 2000, and Elandskral in 2001, which is today known as Musasagetu. The history continues. You then have 2002 to 2009, and then from there you've got the new acquisitions from 2010 up to 2020. In 2012, we launched our first employee shares ownership scheme, which is called Takanel Employee Share, which was in a way making the employees to be part of Harmony and assisting us in taking care of Harmony. The latest acquisition, Chair, is the one whereby we took the remainder of Anglo Gold Ashanti in South Africa, and that happened quite recently, whereby we took Mponeng and the Mine Waste Solutions into Harmony. Chair, this is a very, very interesting graph which is basically painting the picture on our journey with regards to illegal mining. We started the journey of seriously fighting illegal mining activities in Harmony in 2014. And you would see that the numbers of underground illegal miners from 2014 started, when we started, it was close to 1,000 that we found underground. And it grew up. 2016, we're hovering around 2,500, and in 2018, it was still around 2,500 illegal miners that were found underground. We have since tapered down. If you look at the key, Chair, you would see that the red is representing the illegal miners. The amber is sick illegal miners that were pulled out from underground, and the blue is the deceased illegal miners that were pulled from underground. When I talk about underground, Chair, I need to qualify that we are referring to illegal miners that were found in Harmony's working space, whereby they would go underground and they would say, it's now time, you Harmony, you have mined, now get out, it's our time now to do mining underground. And they would target those high-grade pillars and high-grade mining spaces in Harmony. If, Chair, I were to paint a picture as well to say, how much did we spend up to 2018? From 2014 to 2018, Harmony spent close to 2 billion rand to fight illegal mining underground. We see that there was a tapering down now, whereby you'd see what happened that really brought the numbers down. However, Chair, I must say that this figure, it might look good for Harmony, but the problem that we're sitting with now in the West Rand is as a result of that decline in the mines in the Free State. Because those people, when they came out of the Free State, when we closed down those mines that were sort of, that had reached their end of life, then the illegal miners needed to find new places where they would get the gold. Then we saw the migration into the north, whereby you've got people now sitting around the West Rand. We've got people in Mpumalanga, around Barberton and around Evander. Most of those people are the people that came from underground in the Free State. If one were to look at that, that is basically showing the illegal miners per region, whereby the red is the Free State, the amber is Gauteng, and the blue is Northwest. And as you can see, the red has tapered down. 2019 red is fairly small, but if you look at the amber, it's going up in 2019, which is Gauteng. And 2021, Gauteng is still going up, and Northwest is starting to show up now as well in 2021. Illegal miners per nationality, the highest number from the people that were arrested in Harmony, the highest number were people from Zimbabwe, without really being, if you would like, you would call it, we are being sort of xenophobic. So we have the sum that is unknown, and then there's 750 people from South Africa, and then we've got about 2,200 from Lesotho, and then the highest number is Zimbabwe, followed by Lesotho, then Mozambique. Those are the people that were arrested in those times. What we have experienced as well, Chair, is that there are shooting incidents that are happening in those different mines over the periods. This is predominantly referring to the calendar year, this picture, whereby you've got shooting incidents per mine and per region. The highest is at Busasaletu, which is in Gauteng here, whereby there were 28 shooting incidents between our security people and the illegal miners. And then the highest, which is a real concern, Chair, is taking place in West Wits, just around Carltonville. We have had 47 shooting incidents there, and it has developed into a war zone, Chair, whereby on a day-to-day basis, we've got our security people being shot at. One might ask, why the Carltonville or West West? We have a hospital there that was sort of leased by the government, and it's been in the news, the whole issue of that hospital. So that hospital, since it's not in use now, we've got the illegal miners coming in now, wanting to get the copper out of the hospital, and all the utensils that are there in the hospital, they are attracting these illegal miners to come. So we've got our security that is taking care of the hospital. So the shooting is really serious, because the illegal miners there want to get into the hospital and to do some illegal mining activities around the hospital. This busy slide, Chair, is talking more around the Operation Knockout in the Free State in terms of the background, what we did in the Free State. I'm not going to go into that into details, Chair, but if you look at how we won the battle in the Free State, Chair, I can't really claim that it's Harmony that did all the work, but it was collaboration between Harmony, SAPS, and the different kind of security people, and in the security cluster that came in, and we had to bring in the Department of Justice. We had to bring in quite a number of players into the space. At one stage, through the chair of the Portfolio Committee in Mineral Resources and Energy, we got a collaboration between the three portfolio committees, that is the Portfolio Committee for Mineral Resources and Energy, the Portfolio Committee of Police, and the Portfolio Committee of Justice, just to make sure that, because the problem that we had was the police in the Free State did their job to arrest the people, but when the people got to court, they then got like easily out, because they will be given 100 rand fine to say you are trespassing, 100 rand fine, and before you know it, the people will be back underground doing illegal activities. This is more, it is in the notes that we have distributed, Chair. This is all about what we did in the Free State as well. Chair, I must say that if you look at that bullet point number 2, we say how many provided offices and with infrastructure at Harmony Staying Shaft, where the Joint Operational Command Center is situated. So this is where we got the Harmony security personnel with the SAPS and other people that come from the security cluster to be coming up with strategies of really dealing with these issues. And we have seen, as we have seen that graph, this has paid out the dividends. The knockout arrests, if you look at the total arrests, we're talking of around 4,444 arrests, that is from 2019 going through to 2022, and the numbers there is basically talking to where were the arrests sort of made, mining surface, mining underground, mining outside, and the firearms that were confiscated, and the mine employees. I must say, Chair, that with illegal mining in the mining sector and in the mining houses, some of the illegal miners gain access into the mines through our own employees. There tends to be sort of a collaboration between the illegal miners and our own employees. Sometimes the employee would be brought in unwillingly. They know that Mashego is the winder driver, and they get the address of Mashego. They go and visit Mashego at home, tell Mashego, we know your kids, where your kids go to school. And if you know what is good for you, there's 20 people that you are supposed to take down underground on this particular day. Mashego has got a gun on his head, and Mashego just had to take those 20 people underground. So those are some of the experiences that way. Some, they do it willingly. They will tell you, Mashego, you are the engine winder driver, and we are going to give you 100,000 to take 20 people underground. Mashego is enticed, and Mashego is told it's going to be a one-time kind of an event. And when Mashego takes those people underground, then in future, they no longer even ask. They just put the money into Mashego's account and say, on this day, there are so many people that are coming. If Mashego says, no, I can't do it any longer, they then say, we know where your wife goes to work. These are the figures that we're talking about in terms of the goods that were confiscated, and the kind. It's serious business, Mr. Chair. One should not underestimate the kind of business that we're talking about here. When we deal with the whole issue of illegal mining, Chair, we're talking serious money, not just Mickey Mouse money. The people that were deported, Chair, you would see that you've got in 20, those different colors represent the years. The black representing 2019, 2020 is the red, blue. What's that color? Amber. And then you've got the blue, that is the Lesotho. You would see that there are those people that were deported in 2021, which is a year ago, 740 Lesotho citizens who were deported back to Lesotho, but I can bet you that they are back in South Africa. In 2021, Mozambique, 996 were deported, Malawi 60, Zimbabwe 166, and total that were deported. In 2019, we deported 817, 2020, 1212, and then 2021, 1164. Chair, these are basically the pictures of what we're doing, or what is happening there dealing with the illegal mining. And those pictures, you would see that there's people that were arrested there. There's money there at the bottom, towards the corner there, bottom left, you'll see that there's money. When one of the kingpins was arrested, he had how much is in his house? When one of the kingpins was arrested in Welkom, in his house was a cash of 4 million rand that was found in his house. So it's serious money that we're talking about.
Absumula, don't disrupt my meeting. Continue.
Chair, you would see there to say, how do they then get some of the stuff underground? Because if you look on the top right, at the top there, that is the shop or the goods or the groceries that were confiscated when they were about to go underground, which would be bread. You'd see that there's bread, there's peanuts, there's milli meal, there's a number of things. And the question is, how do they get them underground? When you look at your top left, the second picture, that is a cylinder for gas. So they have opened that cylinder at the bottom, and they stuff the things inside that cylinder, and it's closed, and then it's sent underground as we're thinking that it's gas, yet it's food that is sent underground. You would see that even that bottle top left, The fire extinguisher is made use of as well. If you look on top right, those drums there, normally those drums would carry oil underground, but then those that are collaborating with illegal miners would then stuff the food in there, as you can see. And bottom right, those two pictures showing that the stuff are coming out of the drums, which are supposed to be carrying oil underground. The picture on the top left is a sad picture, which is a miner that is taken underground, and those miners, we are told, they are used underground as sex slaves. Little boys are taken underground and they are sex slaves underground there. Those are more pictures, and you'd see that the lady bottom left, she's hiding some gold-bearing materials, and she will be bringing that gold-bearing material from underground to the surface. If you look at the picture on the bottom right, third picture from bottom right, you would see that it's food. Now, how much was that found in the food days?
700,000.
700,000 that came out of this. That's the money, 700,000. So disguised as food, but it's taken underground and to the surface. This is a second operation, which was a clean sweep and Papa G. The reason why they were given the names Chair, I must say that one of the challenges that we found was that it's not only our own employees that are on the payroll of some of the illegal miners. Unfortunately, some of the police were found to be on the payroll of the illegal miners. This is why then we needed to come up with terms. Pace, being the head of security or of protective services and harmony, worked with the police. In some cases, when we did this Operation Clean Sweep, we would use police that come from Pretoria or outside Velkom if we're going to do the operations in Velkom. Because if the operation was to be announced in Velkom, at the police station in Velkom, before we know it, everybody that is engaged with this kind of business would be knowing about it. And the question would be, but this was discussed at a very, very high level meeting of like senior people. How did these guys get to know about it? So a different strategy had to be used to get terms in terms of the operations and to be discussed outside the location or the geographic area. So those are some of the successes you would see. Those are in your notes, the notes that we have distributed. If you look at that slide, we're talking there around the Operation Kosh task team. Kosh basically is Krugersdorp, Orkney, Stelfontein, and RTBS Fontaine. I must say, Chair, that this is for us as Harmony, this is the hotspot for now. Because we have clamped down on the Free State. Maybe just to also indicate how many shafts were closed in the Free State. Free State, we had 47 shafts that were sort of left open as the end of mine. And we have closed 37 of those shafts, and we are busy closing down the last 10 for now. So that because the other reality that we're sitting with, just for the benefit of the members, Chair, what you find happening underground, you find that we've got mines that are interlinked. So a person can go underground here in Randburg and walk underground and emerge in the city center of Johannesburg. That's how interlinked these mines are underground. So we needed to close the points of entry because you would have points of entry for those. So 37 have been closed. We're busy with the last 10 now, and there's a mine that came to the end of life end of June this year, Bambanani, and we know that in fact Tace and the team are working on that because we know that there's some gold that is left underground there. I mean, Bambanani was a high-grade mine, and we had to close it down as a result of safety because we couldn't mine that mine safely any longer. So there was no way that we could continue to get gold out of at the expense of lives. So we know that people would know that there is gold that is left at Bambanani, and it's high-grade gold. So we need to close it as quickly as possible before we have a problem sitting there. So Krugersdorp, Orkney, Stelfontein, and Hartbeesfontein are the next ones, because there's quite a number of holes there that are left open, and people are moving underground to do illegal mining. If you look at the successes already that you'd see out of the Krugersdorp area and Orkney area, those are the successes. How these guys go down, you see second picture from the left, they go down using ropes and all sorts of things, and they are armed and they are dangerous. Those are some of the rifles that were confiscated from the illegal miners, which is why, if you talk about the recent incident, Chair, that is in Krugersdorp, it's very, very close to where we are, to our offices. And you hear gunshots there on a regular basis. I mean, those guys mean business when they want their gold. So again, on the bottom right is the kind of money that has been confiscated. Days, I don't know if you remember the amount that was sitting there in that pack or that pile. We don't know the amounts. These are more pictures of Krugersdorp illegal miners. Those are the illegal miners that have been arrested there. The impact of illegal mining on health and safety. If one were to look at the illegal miners, they have no regard to their own safety or the safety of others. They don't care what damage they cause to the infrastructure. They just don't care. They just want to get the gold. And when we checked with some of the kids that were there, when they are recruited from their homes, they are told that they are going to be working in the mines. And they are brought into the country through the back roads. And when they get there, they are told, you know what? You have just to keep a gallows stove, and that's it. So critical equipment is damaged underground. The ventilation supplies the water. Electricity supplies is interrupted as they also pull out the cables to get copper out of the cables. The mine pillars, which may result in fall of ground, they are also compromised, because when you do responsible mining, you know which pillars to touch and which ones not to touch. For illegal miners, gold is gold, and whether it's a pillar or not, they will take it out. They remove critical support structures, and they cause underground fires. And you know that in places like the Free State, we've got a high occurrence of, what's that gas again? Methane. So if you've got methane and you light fire, it's a problem. It's a problem. And so they cause underground fires, and these lead to explosions. On the surface, they target critical infrastructure like pump stations, substations, and ESCOM substations. They attack security personnel with high caliber rifles and large groups on a daily basis, cause environmental damages, and cause the water pollution. If one were to look at targeting the security personnel, Chair, we've had a very, very unfortunate incident, twice in fact that we had these unfortunate incidences. One was when one of our general managers was killed at the gate of the mine because he was clamping down on the illegal miners. So they just waited for him, and as he drove out of the mine, they shot him dead. Young man, very, very, very sort of promising in terms of his future. The other incident is when our security personnel, they were driving in the armored vehicle, and the illegal miners bent them into that car. They surrounded the car, started shooting at the car, and they were bent in that security personnel. So that's the kind of war zone that we are talking about in terms of the illegal miners. I'm not going to go into details on this particular slide, Chair, because it's basically talking about the impact of illegal mining on the mining companies as much as on the communities. The communities, sometimes they are participating and they collaborate with the illegal miners, but in some cases they're held hostage, Chair, to give them a place to stay, to really keep them and to hide them when the police come, and they do that. Sometimes they do it voluntarily so, but sometimes they are coerced to do that. There is a whole issue of the emerging risk whereby they demand payment from contractors to say, we are doing illegal mining in this particular area, and if Harmony is saying you must come and rehabilitate the area, you are going to pay us to vacate this place. And that's what the contractors are faced with now in terms of the illegal mining. Then you've got issues of them saying to the communities, because they are clamping down on our activities. You as community, remember that the people that tend sometimes to be involved with illegal mining activities in the communities are what you would call the significant others in terms of the communities. Those people that are perceived as leaders sometimes are the ones that are doing that. And they would go and say to the communities, you must demand 70% of employment within 2 weeks. And if you don't get that, we've got an incident now right here in Soweto, whereby last week a bus was burnt down and the communities was demanding for Harmony to employ 300 people within a week. There is the issue of whereby we are still discussing within the DMRE and the industry. We're talking of the small scale and artisanal miners. It's a policy that we're still looking into. And if you look at what the illegal miners are saying, they are putting pressure on the system. I can see that boss is standing up and she's saying my time is up. Okay. The challenges that we're sitting with, redundant mine-out mines belonging to other mining groups not closed or demolished, as such allowing illegal miners to gain access into our working areas. Mining security rely on subs for assistance, and sometimes it becomes difficult to get assistance from subs for different reasons. Mining security can legally address level 1 and limited level 2 illegal miners. This is the elephant in the room, Chair, whereby as mining houses, we can only address level 1 and level 2, which would be your hands that are underground there. But there is level 3 up to level 5 of illegal gold traders. Because the question is, if these people are mining illegally, who do they sell this gold to? And that question is never sufficiently addressed. We continuously sort of arrest these people that are there, but there are bigger people, Chair, whereby at one stage when we had a very serious clampdown on illegal mining activities in the Free State. Chair, at a distance, there were about, they should correct me, about 5 or 6 Range Rovers and BMWs X7s with GP registrations that were standing on the peripherals of that particular activity. So those are the people that we are not addressing when we deal with illegal mining. Yes, we are arresting people underground, but there are the mashihos that are staying in Bryanston and Sandton that are the ones that are really supposed to be arrested and to be dealt with. And over and above the mashihos, there might be the Fundamervis and the whatever surname that is sitting somewhere, whether in Switzerland or somewhere out of the country, who are the level 5 illicit gold miners. And those things are not being addressed, Chair. So that's the elephant in the room, and we need to find a way of dealing with those issues. Corruption. Corruption within the subs, we've spoken about that, and the whole issue of the bribing of the prosecuting authority, we've seen that in the Free State, which is why then when we started to address that, then some cases had to be removed from Velcom to be prosecuted in Bloemfontein at the request of Harmony, because we knew that the prosecutors were in their pockets. Sentences relating to illegal miners do not act as a deterrent to illegal miners. It's something that needs to be dealt in the Free State already. That has been addressed, but Gauteng, we still need to influence that, Chair. Our approach, I'm not going to bore you with the approach that we took, but there's quite a number of measures that were taken, and part of it is biometrics in terms of people going underground, because without biometrics, then there was a problem. I'm, however, told that they found a way now of buying somebody's fingerprint to go through those gates, and we are addressing those issues on a regular basis. Proposed considerations. Chair, this is my last slide, I must say. As considerations, we are not imposing, but we are saying There might be a consideration of the reinstatement of the sub-specialized units to assist in the fight against illicit gold trade in South Africa. The current approach by Harmony in conjunction with SAPS in the Free State reduced the crime by approximately 30%. And we're basically saying it is clear that we can deal with this scourge of illegal mining by effectively addressing it through law enforcement and involvement of the local communities. We need to get to the communities and start talking about that. And then we're talking about the National Task Team. Those are what we are proposing should be the players in that task team, mining houses, our regulator, DMRE, SAPS, SARS, DPCI, Home Affairs, NPA, and other roles to address the whole issue of illegal mining. And this one is more to something that we will take up with the regulator, the release of trust funds to engage in concurrent rehabilitation of obsolete operations. Chair, thank you. I'll take questions if there is time for questions, Chair. Thank you.
You can take your cards down. Thank you, Mr. Mashiko. We were just giving this as one part that when you deal with illegal mining, it does take place at times on operational mines, not only on what we call derelict and ownerless mines, or common term, you can just say disused mines. It means even where you've got active operations, you still have illegal mining taking place. And I think that's the part we just wanted them to share. And now as we go to the departments, let me start that I've just received the message now that the Minister of Home Affairs has been stuck somewhere. He will be joining us in this session in few minutes, not hours now. I hope so, but he's coming. He's confirmed to be coming. The Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy did call yesterday night that there is a clash of a program. He is don't want to say subpoenaed. Subpoenaed is another word. He has been requested to appear in the NCOP. So he's in the NCOP today, but the Director General is here. So we said, if you go there, the other one must remain. The Director General is here. The Deputy Minister of Police is here with us. Can I now invite you, DG? You don't have enough time. You see your slides. You will talk to them. You won't read them. Can I take you, DG? I don't want to call the Senate because I might be accused of being biased. He's still on probation, he's new. Please, bear with him. So, if you compute him sure as he does, it is part of the training.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning to you, and good morning to the Honorable members of the both portfolio committees. Deputy Minister of Police, good morning. Provincial Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen. Chairperson, from our side, let me start by saying that I think the presentation that was just presented by Harmony helped paint the other side of the picture, which is something that we also wanted to emphasize today to say that while the general focus or understanding is that the illegal mining activities take place in the disused or ownerless mines, there is a lot of these activities that are actually taking place in mines that are owned or currently operational. So our presentation is then going to basically focus on what are the interventions or the things that the department is doing in dealing with the issues around illegal mining, taking into account the existing legislative framework. But Chairperson, since this is a follow-up from yesterday's session, what we also, with your permission, going to do is to just touch on the issues around Krugersdorp, the specific site, to clarify the arrangements and the setup there, as some of the questions were raised yesterday. And with me, Chairperson, I'm not with a bodyguard, but I'm with my colleague, DDG Makobela, who is responsible for petroleum and mineral regulation, who will then take us through the detail of the presentation.
Thank you, DG. Just want to. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I would like to also extend my greetings to yourself, Chairperson, the Chairperson of the Police Portfolio Committee, and the honorable members of the both portfolio committees, Deputy Minister, to my DG and Chair of Mintech, Provincial Commissioner, and the SAPS team. I also want to recognize Team Home Affairs that is here with us, Team DMRE. Let me start by saying good morning to all of you. I want to also recognize the CEOs that are here. Mintech CEO, Dr. Mutuku, our host, as well as the CEO of the Council for Geoscience. And with that, may I say all protocol observed. So as the DG has indicated, we are going to try and be brief because we are here with our partners. I want to take this opportunity to really take my, I'm not having a hat, but I want to take my hat off to the SAPS team, particularly the provincial team, as well as the NPA, for responding to the plight that befell our sisters so quickly. I think that should be congratulated by all of us, and we take our hats off to them. I just wanted to start with a picture. This map, and I want to say that I wanted to start with this map to show that this is where the incident happened. And this is basically, we're here because of the tragedy that occurred here. And I think when we visited the area yesterday, there was an eerie silence as we walked towards that spot. And I think it was an indication that something really terrible had happened there. But with that said, what I want to indicate is that this is not a disused mine. So there are rights issued here, there are rights issued here, and there are rights issued in the brown areas because these are the dumps. And there are different companies to whom these rights have been issued. So I just wanted to start there, but I want to then move on to illegal mining in South Africa. As was indicated by Ntate Mashiko, illegal mining for us is a challenge. And it's not only confined to gold. We see it in all commodities, chrome, platinum, group metals, uncut diamonds. And it's actually a very, very well-organized economy, and it goes into the billions. For us, it is a national crisis in our view, because it creates all manner of challenges. The people who go and steal cables underground, they then also threaten the lives of mine workers that are doing mining legitimately. There are also, as was indicated by Ntate Mashiko, impact on infrastructure, and that then creates its own challenges. It is organized, as was indicated, and it basically leads to other social ills such as human trafficking, border security challenges, because these people are brought in illegally through our borders and they stretch our security services. So the implications for the country are quite huge. First, starting with, as I indicated, infrastructure, but there's a new one now that is emerging, and that talks to the reputational damage. I think, Chairperson and honorable members, you would have read that we are facing a challenge of, or potential of being grey listed as a country. Now, grey listing results from an uncontrolled or a perceived uncontrolled prevalence of illicit financial flows. And illegal mining is one of those areas that can then have an impact on our reputation as a country. The other issue is that foreign investors, they have to think twice. If this persists, they have to think twice about investing, because they are not sure whether their investments would then be secured. As was indicated, it's a multi-billion rand industry, and it impacts on tax collection as well. So this is something that needs to be taken seriously. There are also then environmental risks that are caused by this, because, as was indicated by Ntate Mashiko, these guys don't care about the environment. They basically leave, they extract what they extract and leave everything else to the state. One of the areas that we've identified is that we need to improve intelligence, or should I say information gathering, particularly around those, the rest of the value chain. Who trades this material? How does it get out of the country? And how is it then taken to the end user? So these are some of the issues that basically we are involved in trying to deal with together with our security cluster partners. So, as I indicated at the beginning, it is conducted in many commodities. It is not only in Gauteng, as was indicated, Free State, Limpopo is quite rife in Limpopo. Illegal diamond mining in the Northern Cape is also quite rife, and then Northwest and Mpumalanga as well. These are the hotspots. We're not saying that it's not happening in other provinces, but these are the hotspots that we have. And apart from regulating in terms of the MPRDA, we then have to be going around together with SAPS, trying to chase locate and arrest these criminals. Of course, one area is that is well organized is how these get transported. There are indications, for example, that the way this is so well organized is that you would find that members of police or national intelligence would be chasing a consignment and then get to a place where there is a roadblock that has been organized impromptu by perhaps not the national police, but by a metro outfit. And then the intelligence officer would be identified and would be told that we have a problem with this vehicle. It's not you, sir, but the vehicle, there's a problem. The intelligence officer would then be stuck there. Meanwhile, the truck that is carrying the consignment is allowed to get away. By the time they clear the car, then the vehicle is long gone. These are things that are happening in this space. What are we doing about it? I think this is one area where there is good collaboration between the policy departments as well as the law enforcement agencies. And I must say that we're working very well with them. There have been interventions that have been made at a national level. There is a national organizing committee of law enforcement together with ourselves as a department. There are interventions that are aimed at responding to all of these, and we also have cooperation from the National Prosecution Authority as well as the Asset Forfeiture Unit. Now, I'm not going to go in detail into this on this slide because I think also my colleagues from SAPS probably would do a better job of explaining this. But what I want to show here is that there is involvement from the highest decision-making bodies of the administration at cabinet level. The IMSC is an interministerial security committee, and then the JCPS is the cluster of crime prevention and security. So we have all of these structures then that are working with us basically to try and stem this cancer in our society. I've indicated, and the chair did indicate that we need to push for time, so I think we have circulated the slides. But what I wanted to show here is that these are the bodies that are involved in all, these are our partners basically in dealing with illegal mining. So what are the pillars basically that we rely on for enforcing? So as I indicated, one area that I think we still need to improve on is intelligence gathering, but there is a lot of visibility from SAPS, I must say. But I think the issue is information. We need to gather information on the actual syndicates themselves as to how they operate, because the visibility is focusing a lot on the foot soldiers, and we need to start targeting the higher end of this network. So there are joint operations that get conducted, and these, yes, are intelligence-led. There was a successful one, for example, about 3-4 weeks ago in the Northern Cape, where a number of people were then found who were also mining illegally, and they were arrested, but again, most of those people were not South Africans, as was indicated in the previous slide. Here, I think I won't spend too much time because I think our colleagues will talk to the arrests that have been made. But this is just an indication that there is work that is being done by the police to basically stem this the tide of illegal mining. But the ones that were showing arrests that have been made in active mines, where people are basically infiltrating some of the shafts, as was indicated by Mr. Mashiko, and basically these are the people that have been arrested. So there is work that is being done. There is something that has been said about the fact that if we allow artisanal and small-scale mining, we will stem the tide of illegal mining. We do not believe that. We think actually it is not correct to always refer to this because, yes, we need a policy on artisanal and small-scale mining. That policy has been approved and has now been published, but we can't equate illegal mining to artisanal and small-scale mining. There is going to be a framework that is going to be developed, for which policy has been finalized. That is going to enable small-scale mining. But we don't think that is the solution to illegal mining. Illegal mining needs prosecution because these people come into the country firstly illegally, they are undocumented, and they need a particular intervention, not necessarily through a policy and legislative framework. I will come to what we need to do in terms of enforcing the existing laws. I wanted to take this opportunity also to just zoom in on the Krugersdorp situation. On the Krugersdorp situation, we want to show that one, where this incident happened is a facility owned by a company called Mohale Gold. It is in business. It is not in business rescue. The shareholder of Mohale Gold is Mintails South Africa. And also, it is in business. This is the company that was liquidated. It's a Mintails Mining SA, which is a subsidiary, again, of Mintails SA. So there are people that are licensed, basically, who then have to account for the activities that happen there. And that is a process that we will have to undertake as a department. Now, also, just to reflect that yesterday we encountered people that were from amateur mining, and we wanted to just show who the directors of also these companies are. This is information that is in also at CIPC, verified. So this is current information. But briefly, I think I've spoken to this just to show the relationship between the right holders. So Mohale Gold is the right holder for where this incident happened. But of course, they have a shareholder that is Mintails SA. This is the one then that was liquidated. This is just for background, particularly responding to the events of yesterday, as the DG has indicated. But here we also want to show that there is a history that basically leads to where we are. So this, basically what happened is Mintails South Africa basically took over assets of DRD. And in doing so, we believe as a department, they bit more than they could chew. And hence they then have this huge liability that they have then, they're having to deal with. Here I wanted to show what we have as a department in terms of this company, in as far as financial provision is concerned. This is the estimated environmental liability. And this is the shortfall that this company, it would not be able to basically deal with the environmental liability. However, having said all of that, we are of the view as a department that any entity that there is still a lot of gold resource in this area, so an entity with financial muscle would then be able to, one, take over this liability and still make a lot of money. We think that there's a lot of gold that sits there, and therefore, I think there is a transaction now that is being worked on between this company as well as a listed company whose name I won't mention here now. But I just want to say that there is a way of dealing with this shortfall, and we are going to be encouraging the prospective company to basically then move with speed to take over that operation. I won't spend too much time. I think the legislative framework, we just wanted to show that we have all the laws that can make sure that things are done in terms of the law. One area that we believe we need to focus on going forward is the regulator that regulates precious metals. In our intervention, we do not think that we've brought the SADPMR into the conversations enough, because they are the ones that license the refineries. So these refineries are basically, gold refineries are licensed by the precious metals regulator. And we think that it's high time that we engage them more actively in making sure that all those refineries actually process material that comes from licensed facilities. I don't think I should go through the act itself, as well as in terms of the mine health and safety. I will go through that fairly quickly, but we just wanted to show what the kinds of structures the illegal miners then use, basically to support the areas where they enter. These are some of the structures that when we do these operations, you encounter such structures, and you can see that people have gone down using, and that is really an unsafe, it's an unsafe condition, because anything can happen in terms of subsidence of rocks and as well as the soil there. Now, there is an area that we spent some time on yesterday in terms of the Companies Act. We said to the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy that when a company is in business rescue. It becomes very difficult for the department to enforce existing legislation without the written consent of the business rescue practitioner. So it's an area that we believe that we need to discuss with the DTIC to make sure that there is a procedure that then allows us to intervene as a department, particularly if a company is facing liquidation. Here we wanted to show the scale of the challenge that we have. To say that these are the numbers of prospecting rights that have been issued per province. So there may be not too many in Gauteng, but you can imagine if in Limpopo you have so many, and you have to inspect each and every one of those operations. And the resources for both ourselves as well as the police service, in my view, would need to be considered, because this is the policing, the extent of the policing that would need to be done. I mean, if you can just imagine a situation where only 10% of those operations get affected by illegal mining, it would mean that you would have to stretch the resources of law enforcement as well as the department to make sure that these don't continue. Now, in terms of the way forward, what we've been discussing, there is a joint task team of the two DGs, one, the DG of Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, as well as the National Commissioner of Police. We established task teams last year, and those task teams were basically going to look at what else is required. We came to a conclusion that one, there is a need to amend the MPRDA, and we need to make sure that we criminalize basically one, assistance to illegal activity, mining without the necessary permits, but also the possession. If you are transporting illegally mined minerals, we feel that that should be an offense, and that we then need, in the act itself, that we need to be looking for minimum sentences for offenders and repeat offenders. The human resource capacity of the department and law enforcement, we think that needs to be looked at, as well as the fact that the investigative capacity would need to be made available to punish offenses. One area that was presented in the Harmony's presentation is that we want to emphasize is that we support, and this is an area that has been made public by our minister, that we support the establishment of specialized units within SAPs that are going to focus on the area of illegal mining. With that, I would like to thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Bob Kudala. Can I first apologize? We wrote wrong. I told Babu Kagane yesterday that I'm very careful. It's like going to church. When you go to church, when you come down, to Tigun, you caution that there are too many titles. So I told him that I won't bother myself about the brigadier, the general, the surgeon, constable. I don't want to go to those titles. There's only one thing that I know. SAPS is not a company, it's not standing on its own. So, Deputy Minister, accept our apology. It's the Department of Police, not SAPS. SAPS is an operation arm of the department. Can I invite the Deputy Minister and his team to make a presentation on behalf of the Department of Police? Yeah. Akuzodonsa lethu lamaphoyisa lekuwaphathe kahle. Akuyona inhlanhla yendlela noma
No, you can, yeah. Uzosilanda.
ayisukathi usiyasuka laseMeroad.
Yeah, no, Chair, I don't know to what extent will your kindness assist you in a roadblock. If you are in possession of things you are not supposed to be having with you. But thank you, Chair, and your co-chair in absentia, the whips of both committees, members of the two committees present here, the Provincial Commissioner, General Mawela, together with your team, DG Mbele, and your team, both the chair of Mintech and the CEO, who are our host, and the delegation from Geoscience, and members of Home Affairs who are here with us, members of the media, the executive director of IPID, Mintails. It's an honor and a privilege for me, Chair, to appear before the committee, because this is we have been summoned by the committee to come and appear before the joint committees and account on our mandate, because you are our boss. So we always honor the privilege to come and be before you and account for the things that you mandated us to do on behalf of the people of South Africa. I fully endorse what the DG presented here in terms of what we are doing as government and the committees that we have set, and the private sector is aware of that. The representative of Harmony made a presentation here and also made an indication that there is a committee that is not there, but the DG confirmed that there is a committee which is chaired by the two ministers and the DG and the National Commissioner that respond to issues of illegal mining. And that we have met with captains of industries, different CEOs in the Ministry of Police on this specific matter of illegal mining. But of course, in the course of his presentation, he did confirm that we have conducted operations with them, even though it was more on a lighter note the way he put it, because he was saying that Harmony is dealing with this decisively, and he even showed a graph that there is a decline. But somewhere in between, he will say SAPS and DPCI, which is true. We went to Velcom, and Velcom is no longer the same since we went there, and I think he can attest to that, the operation that we have conducted there. And that was not the only operation we have conducted, working together with the private sector, mining houses and their security division in particular. There is an operation that we did in Orkney, together with them, which was very successful, and it was also flighted on one channel, TV channel, but one journalist from the same TV channel was asking us about the things that we do and we don't do around these areas, despite the fact that they showed our operation because they were part of the Orkney operation, where members of the South African police, we have different disciplines, I won't go into them, were part of that operation, including how we responded. Of course, it was not a good thing, this incident that happened in Krugersdorp, but we had to respond. And when we responded there, it was the South African police, together with all its components, that carried out that response, where we went for those who are engaged in these activities in that part of our country, and we arrested, I think, 67 people, General Mawela, that Friday. And amongst those, we have charged 7 who were directly involved in that incident. It wasn't a good thing to happen, but we responded to that, and I think the presentation that we'll have will also outline what we are doing around this. I fully agree with the presenters of DMR that legalization of those who are engaged in illegal mining is not necessarily the solution to the problem that is there. We must decisively deal with criminality and ensure that it is dealt with decisively so that this does not recur. But we must also deal with the legacies of where we come from, legacies of colonialism, because the problems that we are confronted with in the country are a reflection of where we come from, and we should acknowledge that and deal decisively with that problem, because if we don't, the source of the problems will continue to be those underdeveloped communities who don't have any other form of survival, and for them to continue to live, they will do anything possible under the sun, including becoming victims who will be recruited to come to the mines, as Harmony has said. People are recruited from Lesotho or Zimbabwe or Mozambique under the pretext that they are going to work in the mines. And when they arrive here, they have no option but to stay underground and to work to those who are masterminds behind this. So you develop their areas, you develop SADC, you make SADC a better place. Either you are in Lesotho or Zimbabwe or Mozambique, if you know you wake up in the morning, you know where you go and work for your own survival and for your families. You will not be recruited by anybody to go to work in a place that you don't know. So the development of the region is critical and important to the resolution of the problems that we are confronted with. As the South African police, we know fully well that our biggest problem is to fight crime. But we know that for us to succeed in the fight against crime, there must be development. in our communities. Our people must be able to put bread on the table. They must be able to sleep with a full stomach, because an empty stomach will create a problem for us. Hence, we piloted a program which was adopted by the Cabinet of the Republic on the fight against violent crime in society. I won't go into that, and I think I must not talk too much because there is a problem of time that the chair has said, but through you, Chair, if you may allow that I ask General Mawela, without having to go into the details of the presentation that you have prepared, but to talk to how as SAPS we have responded to the challenges before us within the presentation that you have. I know that the Brigadier will do that, but you know we always follow protocol. We must ask you, through you, Chair, if you may allow that General Mawela should come and lead our presentation on this matter. But I want to assure everybody here that we are at work, we have the capacity to respond, and we are responding appropriately to the challenges facing our country. Yes, there are challenges in SAPS, there are shortages. If I may just for a second say, the number of police officers we have today in 2022 is less than what we had in 2010. And if you look at the number of the population we had in 2010 and what we have today, they are not the same. But we are on a program as we speak. There are 10,000 people who are on training. The President gave us an extra 5. And they are also going to give us another 10,000 next year. So we'll recruit more in order to cover the gap that was there within our space. Policing is not the same with other departments. You need people who can run. So when you reach a particular age, you must leave. And as you leave, there must be supplementation. And there was a shortcoming within that. But we take responsibility for everything that has happened before we came. And we will ensure that we correct this going forward. Thank you. If you may allow, we allow General Mawela and the team to lead us.
Thank you very much, dear. Honorable co-chairpersons, honorable members of both committees, Director General from Department of Mineral Energy, Mineral Resource and Energy, and the DDGs here, my generals, Team Gauteng here, colleagues from Department of Home Affairs, members of the media, and our social partners from Harmony Gold or all mining houses which are here. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Thank you very much for the opportunity. With us, we are not going to waste any time. We are going to just shoot straight to the presentation. Through you, Honorable Chairperson, if you allow, Brigadier Bender is going to lead in that regard. Brigadier. Suma TV.
Good morning, Honourable Chairpersons, Honourable Members of the committees, the Deputy Minister, Director General, Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mawela, Executive Director of IPIT, the business partners in terms of the mining houses. Good morning and thank you for the opportunity to quickly run you through a presentation that has been prepared for the sitting of both of the committees in terms of illegal mining. Just by way of overview in terms of our presentation, which is quickly touch on the legal framework. We'll also touch on the situational analysis that has been done in terms of illegal mining. Also a bit of detail on the 5-pillar plan or approach that has been implemented. Our operations that have been conducted and some successes that has been attained in the space of illegal mining. An executive summary in terms of the occurrence in West Village. And then we'll also highlight some operational as well as strategic challenges that has been identified, and then also just put forth some recommendations that we feel might assist As we said, the purpose is just to brief the portfolio committees on mineral resources and energy, as well as police pertaining to matters on illegal mining in Gauteng. Chair, in terms of the legal framework, it's quite extensive. That has been included in the slide. I will not necessarily read through all of that. Just some of the legislation that has been highlighted is our Second-Hand Goods Act of 2009, where there's certain responsibilities placed on such members as well in terms of their responsibility to police it. The Minerals and Petroleum Resource Development Act also authorizes police officers to do specific things in terms of the Act. The Mine Health and Safety Act. We have the Immigration Act that also provides for the regulation of administration of persons into and the departure from the Republic. The Firearms Control Act, where we know that most of the illegal mining activities involve the use and possession of illegal firearms. We have the Prevention of Organised Crime Act, where it's introduced measures to combat organised crime, money laundering and criminal gang activities, and to prohibit certain activities relating to racketeering activities, and we know that illegal mining might also have a connection in terms of that. We also have the National Environment Management Act, and the Explosives Act, as well as the Precious Metals Act, which was also highlighted in the presentation of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. Then further legislation that is applicable in this environment, obviously our Constitution, our Criminal Procedure Act, the SAPS Act, the National Water Act, Mining Titles Legislation Act, the Critical Infrastructure Act, Criminal Amendment Matters Act, National Environmental Waste, Labour Relations, Spatial Planning, as well as in the draft policy that was also mentioned by the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. Chair, if we move to the situation analysis in terms of illegal mining, it's stated there that the act of illegal gold mining is on the increase, especially in the Gauteng, and it presents challenges that needs to be addressed from a range of perspectives. It's also estimated that there is more than 600 abandoned mines in Gauteng alone. So the root causes of illegal mining, I think, may be debated, but the following have been identified as amongst the most common. First of all is unemployment, criminal exploitation, syndicates extending their territories for financial gain, the mining sector abandoning properties without reputation, and then also the inability of the mining sector to adequately secure deployment and as to save cost. So illegal mining also takes both in abandoned and operating mines, as was also alluded to earlier, with illegal miners often operating under extremely dangerous conditions. There's two types of mining, illegal mining that we encounter. The first one is underground mining, and the secondly then surface mining. Underground mining is a method that involves mining of hard rocks from underground, and these activities is mostly in old and abandoned mines, accessed mainly by shafts. And then most of the illegal miners are then recruited to go underground for periods ranging from 3 weeks to 6 months at a time. Surface mining is actually most commonly known as karst mining, where soil and rocks overlaying the minerals are removed, and this practice includes open pit mining and strip mining. Chair, illegal mining predominantly by foreign nationals from Lesotho, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, which was also highlighted earlier, are occurring in the following districts and police stations areas within Gauteng. West Rand, there's a number of policing areas there, including Kaltenwil, Bekkersdal, West Nerikuzong, Krugersdorp, and a host of others. Ekurhuleni, mostly in the Springs, Brakpan, Germiston, Crystal Park, Benoni, Davidson area. Johannesburg, there's a number of areas including Langlaagte, Riverlea, Dobsonville and Honeydew, and then in Sedibeng, it is occurring in the Heidelberg area. So Chair, the illegal miners operating in the above areas are also active in neighbouring provinces as Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest, as well as the Free State. The illegal miners have been linked to a number of criminal activities, including the mass shootings and killings, gang and mass rapes, tampering with infrastructure, theft of copper cable, also illegal connection of electricity, which results in the loss of life. So we also know that illegal mining often has dire and severe structural damages to the ground and leading to permanent road closures due to sinkholes, the cracking and caving in of the surface ground as a result of uncontrolled underground digging and mining. Zamas as illegal miners are known in South Africa are often heavily armed. It's always been also been highlighted earlier, where they have explosives and when trespassing on operating mines, then also set ambushes and booby traps for employees, security personnel, as well as rival groups of illegal miners. We also seen that illegal miners illegally acquire explosives, diesel, copper cables and other equipment from the mines. They make illegal connections from the mines' electrical infrastructure, and this leads to serious interruptions of the electrical supply of the mines. Chair, it's also been highlighted earlier that illegal mining destroys the social fabric of the mining communities through, amongst other, briberies of workers to gain access to secure food and other supplies, threats of violence against workers and management, and it also often gives rise to things as prostitution, child labour, and substance abuse, also the pictures highlighted in an earlier presentation. This phenomenon has a range of negative social and financial impacts on the state, companies, the mining sector, and the country due to a loss of revenue, taxes, employment opportunities, capital expenditures, foreign exchange earnings, and the like. Operations of illegal miners damage the environment in terms of water pollution with chemicals and the environment itself, and these miners obviously then do not rehabilitate the land after illegal operating. There's just two pictures in terms of chemicals, acid and cyanide that has been used in the operation of illegal mining, and then also some pendukas, which is tools that is used by the illegal miners in their activities. Now, Chair, the following criminal value chain relating to illegal mining can be summarized as depicted in the triangle. I'm just going to highlight quickly there we have level 1, which is individuals, which include illicit miners, mine workers, and maybe also security mine personnel. Then we have level 2, moving to dealers, including the runners, as well as illicit smelt houses. We have level 3, which is national bulk buyers at the regional level. Level 4, there's national buyers, and then level 5, international buyers, which may include international importers, refineries, and intermediary companies. So far in Gauteng, 8 criminal groupings or syndicates have been identified who are operating within the legal mining environment in the province, and they are directly and indirectly involved in the commission of a multiple range of crimes, which includes, as highlighted there, murder, attempted murder, aggravated robbery, rape, kidnapping, etc. I will not go through all of that. Chair, when we look at the intervention that has been implemented, we have a 5-pillar intervention plan, which has been adopted for implementation in dealing with illegal mining. And those pillars relates to intelligence gathering. I think DMRE also highlighted proactive approach in terms of visible policing, our combat approach in terms of rapid response and hardcore policing, a reactive approach in terms of our investigative arm through the detective service, and then pillar 5, communication and liaison. Chair, we have an explanation and outlining in each of these pillars. I will not go through in detail, maybe just touch on one of 2 in each of the pillars. Intelligence gathering broadly speaks about the identification and profiling of criminal groups, syndicates, repeat offenders, individuals and associates involved in illegal mining activities within the criminal value chain in support of both the detectives as well as the DPCI. Also then identification and addressing of insider threats that include police corruption, collusion by security guards and companies to mitigate the threat, and then also observation and monitoring of identified hotspot areas as per the Identified Crime Threat Analysis, or CTA as it is also known. When we move to pillar 2, the proactive in terms of high visibility, here we speak about targeted and informed deployment of our operational resources to execute operations aimed at the arrest of illegal miners and the removal of equipment utilized in the illegal mining activities. We also speak about the mine crime combating forums, which we established to address the infiltration of mine shafts. We talk about the establishment of the essential infrastructure task teams throughout the 5 policing districts of Gauteng, and then also the utilization of drones in conjunction with the private security industry through the E2 project to assist in the identification of illegal mining activities. When we look in terms of our combat approach, talking about rapid response, we're referring to the conducting of observations and guerrilla operations in affected areas, the swift response to all incidents in progress in order to apprehend offenders of crime, the deployment of our K9, search and rescue, as well as our mounted units at identified hotspots, as well as further intelligence-driven operations and policing where open cast mining occurs, arresting and confiscating of illegal mining equipment. In terms of our detective environment, we look basically at two aspects there. The first one will be the effective crime scene management through the integrated efforts of our detectives as well as the forensic capabilities. And then we look at the investigation of cases to improve the quality of the investigation, effective docket management, continuous liaison with the prosecution and the MPA, the coordination of exhibits, ensure proper docket flow, improving of our informer network, and then also the establishment of the Organised Crime Secretariat and the OCTA-driven project investigations. So we have a separate approach in terms of the DPCI, where they conduct investigations of national priority offences, which result within their mandate, illicit mining offences such as illegal import as well as the export of precious metals, diamonds and chrome, and also then investigate robbery and theft cases of precious metal and diamond at refineries. And then there's also a number of other activities that falls within the mandate of the DPCI. And then, Chair, lastly, in terms of Pillar 5, our communication and liaison, it is to develop an integrated communication plan in respect of illegal mining activities, related hotspot areas, preventative measures, as well as successes achieved, communicate proactively on these issues affecting our communities through awareness campaigns, as well as the developing and distributing of communication materials, stakeholder engagement with all of our identified stakeholders and role players, media releases and successes and wanted suspects, and then lastly also the increase of public awareness and the reinforcement of our organizational commitment in our fight against illegal mining. Chair, the following 3 to 4 slides just highlight some of the operations and successes that have been implemented and conducted in the recent past from the beginning of the financial year in terms of our 3 major policing districts where illegal mining is occurring. There's a number of operations that has been conducted in Krugersdorp 4, Johannesburg 11, and on the West Rand 16. The next slide, which I'll not go into detail, is additional activities that have been conducted as well as the successes achieved. We can see the aspects like the awareness campaigns, the visits to the mines, and then also confiscations of aluminium, brass, copper, white metal, and then also illegal mining equipment in terms of pendukas, a total of 239. There's stands, there's generator 76 that has been confiscated. There's also been 2 firearms confiscated and 36 ammunition, as well as 2 stolen vehicles that has been confiscated through operations conducted in this area. Additional successes, you will see there are a number of suspects arrested for a range of offences. The first one relating to illegal dealing in diamonds and precious metal is 1,231. In terms of the Firearm Act 5, illegal migrations or undocumented persons and in the excess of 6,000 arrests. Possession of stolen property, 397. In terms of the Explosive Act, there was 18 arrests. And then lastly, in terms of trespassing, 370 people were arrested. Chair, coming specifically to successes from the DPCI. The DPCI, the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigations, otherwise known as the Hawks, attempts to address the scourge of illegal mining in 2 approaches. The first one will be project-driven, where they currently have 3 projects registered, which addresses precious metals, and then disruptive operations, focusing on the identified hotspots, in particular smelt houses and illegal processing plants. And then for the current financial year, there was a total of 12 operations and 36 members arrested by the DPCI. And then we can see at the bottom there also the confiscations and seizures that has been made during these operations. 1.5 gold bars seized at our Tambo Airport, a gold tester, clone cards, and 155 tons of GBM to the estimated value of just over 4 million rand. So we also then included just an executive summary of the West Valley incidents, where I think everybody is quite familiar with, unfortunately, that on the 28th of July of this year, film crew was in the process of filming a musical video at an unused mining dump in the vicinity of West Valley, Krugersdorp. Around about just after 5 in the afternoon, the crew was accosted by approximately 10 African males, which were wearing Basutu blankets and balaclavas. The attackers subsequently fired shots in the air and ordered all those present to lay down and searched all of the victims. The suspects were then joined by a further approximate 10 males, where after 8 of the female victims were dragged into the bushes and gang raped. The remainder of the film crew were all robbed of their possessions and equipment, and then in total 31 counts of rape and 22 counts of armed robbery were registered. An operation conducted in the vicinity of the crime perpetrated resulted in the arrest of 84 people for contravention of the Immigration Act, and we've heard this morning in terms of the progress in this case where 7 people have already appeared in court linked to this. Chair, coming to the challenges, we've split the challenges into two. First of all, relating to operational challenges, and then a bit higher level in terms of strategic challenges. The operational challenges the following has been identified: the policing of our illegal mining activities in respect of SAPS members, and the level of training in the identification of raw materials, the inherent risk of members going underground in search of perpetrators, and also the knowledge and skills of our detectives to investigate cases relating to illegal mining. Secondly, Chair, we'll see we've highlighted that law enforcement and security personnel are expected to respond to incidents in an unfamiliar terrain, exposing their personal safety and increased vulnerability to armed attacks. Public violence associated with illegal mining requires from SAPS diversion of the resources from classical police functions to address the public violence, the storing of bulky and toxic exhibit material which is problematic, inadequate coordination in the criminal justice system relating to prosecuting and conviction of perpetrators. This matter was also highlighted in one of the earlier presentations. Then also, one of the operational challenges is the increase in specific crimes stemming from or in connection with illegal mining, the inadequate enforcement of mining legislation by DMRE as far as it goes to the closure of the mines and the rehabilitation thereof, and then also a neglect of mining houses or companies in securing property where mining activities was ceased. So looking at some of the strategic challenges that were identified was the reputational damage for SAPS in dealing with the matters redounding to illegal mining and its consequences, the increased levels of corruption that is found in all spheres of government relating to this matter. It's also then increasing children in conflict with the law due to the high number of youth that is involved in the activities of illegal mining, increasing the illegal trade of equipment and explosive use in these activities, the destruction of the social fabric of communities leading to increased levels of crime, increasing expenditure for SAPS relating to the deployment of our SAPS special capabilities in the combat and investigation of these activities. Impaired relations may well occur with our study countries whose citizens are involved in illegal mining and they are bearing the brunt of our local communities. And then lastly, their porous borders leading to an increased influx of undocumented national foreigners. So when you look at recommendations that is put forward maybe for consideration is first of all, in obvious the strengthening of our border control, the improved enforcement of applicable legislation by all the relevant government departments in this joint effort, improved coordination and cooperation specifically also with the Department of Justice and the NPA. We also then want to enhance the capacity and skills of our members involved in both the proactive as well as the reactive spheres in dealing with illegal mining. Also then urging the mining houses to take responsibility for the rehabilitation of unused mines, ensuring that the land, property and so forth is fully secured, and private security industry is also then appointed to assist in securing their property. The Department of Home Affairs to generate a database of undocumented illegal immigrants in the country, and intensifying of the multidisciplinary operations with all role players and departments. And then lastly, it's highlighted there the optimal capacitation of the identified to be established capability dealing with illegal mining. I think it has been highlighted in both previous presentations, Chair, and we can also report that integrated feasibility study between the SAPS and the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has been finalized for the establishment of the specialized capacity in each of the provinces. The capacity is aimed to have members of both our visible policing, our operational response services, detectives, DPCI, DMRE colleagues. So this will be an integrated team that will be established, and that feasibility study, as I said, has been finalized and is about to be submitted to the different departments for approval and consideration. Chair, and by that we thank you so much.
No, thanks, Chair. I think this brings us to the end, and we'll gladly engage with members of the committee on issues that they will want us to respond to. But we appreciate the opportunity you have given us to appear before you, to share what we are doing in the space, and we are confident that working together with the private sector, we shall succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM. Amaphoyisa, yawezwa, when it's a presentation, if it was 20 minutes, it takes 10 minutes because they are rushing somewhere. Not Bashai State will say, certifying copy. Thank you very much, DM. You are not in detention. So can we just take a 15-minute stretch break? Otherwise, law enforcement will kick in if you don't come in 15 minutes.